Hi humans, Puddin here. It's 2025, which means it's almost been 3 years since I completed my journey of the entire Appalachian Trail. It's insane just thinking back on that life-changing transition and journey and how it literally transformed me and made me into who I am today. It's pretty wild because we are all humans, we are all different, and we all have different experiences. So if you were here, thank you for being here. I am assuming you were probably getting ready for your Appalachian Trail journey as well. Do keep in mind, we learn from our mistakes, and our mistakes is what transforms us. So don't be afraid to jump in and make your own mistakes and learn as you go. There are some things that I learned that would have made my thru hike a little bit easier. So I am here to share those mistakes with you today and hoping that it may help you moving forward. Do keep in mind, we are all different, so take what you want, leave what you don't want, and be kind, and let's jump right in. So when I think back along my Appalachian Trail journey, of course I was definitely a rookie and only had one backpacking experience, but when I think about the mistakes I made, I would definitely say shoes. So I was in the wrong size shoe to begin with, and I did not realize that. I was in the wrong type of shoe to begin with, which caused a lot of foot pain early on. I was not able to do bigger miles. My feet was hurting before I even made it to my first stop at Nils Gap. Luckily, when I was there were some sports medicine people when training, and they were able to look at my feet, and they told me that I was in the wrong insole, I was in the wrong shoe, it was not fitting for me, it was not doing well. So I literally spent the first half of my Appalachian Trail journey trying to find the right shoe that fit me. And it was definitely a journey. I spent a lot more money than I probably should have, and it affected my body and my miles. And I will say, when you go to a shoe store and you try on the shoe and you think it's gonna fit, things change when you're out on trail. Unless you've walked 100 miles in that particular shoe, I would not bet on it. I would not say, this shoe is the one, until you've walked 100 miles and it does wonders for you. And that was also another mistake I had made. Before I got ready to go on trail, I thought I had watched enough YouTube videos and enough gear videos that I knew what shoe fit me, and then there was a Black Friday sale that came up, and I bought shoes in bulk to save money so I could just mail them to myself, which isn't a bad idea if you have the right shoe, but if you haven't walked 100 miles, I do not recommend that, because not only was it the wrong shoe that I purchased, but then the shoe didn't even work out, so then I'm on trail trying to find a new shoe when I have all these brand new shoes at home. So once again, I feel like I went through some dollars that probably could have been avoided. And when I was researching all these different shoes and all these hikers talking about different shoes, I went based on their recommendation. I've tried every single Ultra, every single pair of Hoka, every type of popular shoe out there, and honestly they all did not work for me. So I will say, just don't get caught up on the brand and what everyone else is doing. Actually be willing to try the shoe, get the shoe, and find out what works best for you. Because when I found Topo Athletic, not that many people was hiking in Topos, but that is what fit my foot the best. And when it comes to shoes, when I was hiking and when I got to Pennsylvania, I went to a shoe store where they had a digital machine that you could stand on, and it would give you details and information about your feet. For instance, your size, your millimeter drop, your width. So then that could help guide you in finding a best shoe that fits you. Like I said, I did not do that until I got to Pennsylvania, but I wish I would have done that early on, because that would have helped me determine a better shoe early on too. And another huge mistake I made that I'm so thankful that I'm still here, because it could have ended really badly, is when I first started the Appalachian Trail, I actually did not have a sleeping bag for my first few nights. And the reason for this is because I was having a hard time packing my bag and figuring out how I wanted things to go, which is another mistake, because you need to know how to pack your bag, do a shakedown, be familiar with your gear, know what you need to pull out of your bag quickly and what you don't, because that's going to save you some time. But in this process, I had watched a YouTube video that talked about how my pack was waterproof. So they did not put their sleeping bag in a compression sack or any sort of protection. They just shoved it in their bag. So last minute, as I'm getting ready to go on trail, I'm like, screw it, it's not packing right. So I ditched my compression sack and just shoved my sleeping bag back into my pack. With me not being familiar with my gear, I also did not realize that you have to roll your bag down so many times before it actually becomes waterproof. So needless to say, when I started my first day of the Appalachian Trail in the pouring rain, my pack got drenched, including everything inside my pack, including the sleeping bag. And I will say, through experience, you do not want your sleeping bag to get wet. Put the extra protection on it. I immediately realized that I needed a compression sack, and it did not matter if my pack was waterproof or not. So this just comes back to, like, knowing your gear. I will say, do a gear shakedown, know what your gear feels like, unpack it, pack it, know what it feels like on your shoulders when you go up a hill, down a hill. Because needless to say, no matter how fit I was, I did not know my gear, and carrying 30 pounds on your pack, walking 8, 10, 15 miles a day is a total different workout than going to the gym or even doing a cardio or even going out for a run. It is different. Also gonna say, knowing what fits you the best. I had done tons of research, so I thought I could start out with Darn Tough socks. Needless to say, the Darn Tough socks did not do well for me. I kept hearing hikers talk about that. I kept seeing videos. They caused me major blisters. I went with a Ninja socks. As long as I wore the thick toe socks, I was fine. Some people do liners with the Darn Tough, but I come to realize I just like the crew sock with a Ninja. That fit best on my foot. But once again, you have to know what fits best for you. Also, talking about the wrong gear, I actually started my journey in hiking pants versus rain pants. I really didn't know the difference between water resistant and waterproof. I was very naive and not educated, so I would recommend doing your research, know what's water resistant versus waterproof, because the pants that I wore did not dry out very well, and they held water, and they were extremely heavy. And it wasn't until later on when I ended up ditching those pants and ended up just getting a cheaper pair of rain pants that made things a lot better. For back along the Appalachian Trail, one of the things that I would do different if I was to hike it again is have a higher budget. I did save a lot of money before I started the Appalachian Trail, but because I did a lot of gear switch outs and I wasn't really sure what fit me, I feel like I spent a lot more than I should have. And then there were times that I realized that I like town food. I like a good meal, I like a good shower, I like a good bed, and that adds up. So depending on how much you spend in town is going to determine your Appalachian Trail budget. For me personally, I gave myself a $1,000 budget, and I wish I would have done more because I easily went past that. Another thing I wish I would have done different, and each hiker may feel different about this, but I wish I would have been more sociable and made more connections. I wish I would have spent more time in the shelters and hostels, but being brand new to the trail and already dealing with a lot of mental health issues and anxiety and depression, it was very overwhelming to go in very high trafficked places where there was a lot of people, and I felt very intimidated, and there were times that I backed down or kept to myself. But honestly, looking back, the hikers that I did meet, they are a total different people, and they completely stamp my heart. It's very easy to go out there and feel like everyone's going to judge you, or like you need to compare yourself to others, but really it is a total different ball game. Everyone's out there for a reason, on their own journey, and they are out there to do nothing but like help you and guide you and just cross paths with you. And I just feel like meeting more people, the people is what made the journey. So I wish I would have realized early on that the shelters wasn't that bad or had that hostel experience. But looking back, I wish I would have had more like hostels experience and just those connections. Like I said, the people is what makes the journey. One of the things that I wish I could have changed or I would have done differently is just being so fixated on miles. It's like I let miles determine everything, and it got to the point where I was so focused on miles that it was determining my worth. Like if I didn't hit my goal for the day, or if I didn't make as many miles, I was starting to feel very bad about myself. Yes, you need to calculate, how much time it's going to take you with weather coming in and stuff, but also wouldn't let miles determine who you are as a person. You're out there doing the thing, doing what you can, and that's all that matters. It's very easy to get wrapped up in what other people are doing, or the other miles, or you're late, or you're behind, but realistically there is no time frame to complete a thru hike. It's like a year. So as long as you keep the weather in mind, like have fun with it, enjoy your journey. Like this is your journey. And one of the big things you will hear over and over again is hike your own hike. I feel like this is very important, and there were times that I was thinking I was hiking my own hike, but realistically I was not. There were times that I was in a tramily, I wanted to be by myself. Maybe I was by myself, I wanted to be with a tramily. Maybe I didn't want to hike with these people, I wanted to hike with these people, but I was worried I was going to hurt these people's feelings. Just know, hike your own hike. There was a time I was trying to keep up with some hikers that was hiking way too big than what I could do, and then I hurt my foot and injuries happen. So just hike your own hike. If you're hiking with people that are hiking too big, don't keep up. If you're hiking with people that are slowing you down and you don't want to go that slow, hike on. There is no right or wrong. This is your journey, and your journey. And when it comes back to also hiking your own hike, when you hike with a group of people, it's very easy. Maybe some people want to take a 0, maybe you don't, maybe you're in the mood to hike on, maybe you don't, maybe you need to trust your body and you need more rest and they don't. So just keep in mind that things can change, you can change your mind, and like I said, just enjoy the journey. Another thing that I focused on was how cheap can I eat to save money? And this can be good, but realistically, I was not eating as healthy as I should be. And when I got up north, I experienced a lot of health issues where I was like malnourished, and it was affecting my body and my hiking. So just keep that in mind. Just because it's cheap does not mean it's good. You still need a healthy amount of carbs and fats and proteins, and you need all the things. You cannot live just off ramen or just off cheese or off beef jerky or off Skittles. Like, you need a combination of all the good things in your body. You are fueling a lot of calories, you're burning a lot, you're putting your body through intense working out every day. So it's very important that you replenish and eat and fuel your body back up with what it needs. And speaking of nutrition, when I was getting ready for my Appalachian Trail journey, I kept hearing stories about how you can buy stuff in bulk and mail them to yourself. And that's what I kind of tried to do. I went to Sam's and I bought all this stuff in bulk, and I was like, I'm just gonna send myself resupply boxes. Which resupply boxes can be good, especially if you have like a food allergy, or you know exactly what you want to eat, or you're really on a financial budget. But in my case, I had never been backpacking that long, and I bought all the wrong things. My taste buds changed, what I wanted changed, what I was craving changed, how much I ate changed, everything changed for me. So realistically, I wish I would have not bought anything in bulk. I wish I would have just got out there and tested the waters and seen what I liked, because honestly, I spent more dollars than I should have. Like I said, resupply boxes can be good if you're on any other trail, but I consider the Appalachian Trail, especially if you're going Nobo with the bubble, there's a lot of stops and a lot of places to resupply that I really didn't need to really set up some resupply boxes or worry about that. And honestly, it kind of gave me too much of a headache when I was still just trying to figure out how to backpack. So yeah, I would have done that differently. Another thing that I did quite often was underestimate the weather. Rain, freezing temperatures, they can be dangerous. There were times that I was slack packing and I didn't pack like my rain gear or extra gear if I was to get trapped overnight. And I did run into some situations where I wasn't able to make as many miles because of the weather, or there was an unpredicted thunderstorm, or maybe I ended up having to take an extra 0 I didn't account for. Or I didn't even pack the right, like I said, rain gear, like rain pants. I didn't even start with rain pants. So I think underestimating the weather in general, do keep in mind when you're in elevation, it's colder. You know, the higher up, the tree coverage can make things a little colder. The little pockets on the mountain, it can be colder. So there's just a lot of weather that I really didn't take serious and I didn't really account for, and I kind of got myself in more pickles than I should have. So I'll say just don't underestimate the weather. And speaking of underestimating the weather, I will also say don't send back your winter clothes too soon. So as summer was approaching and things are getting warmer, I'm like, I don't need this. So I actually sent back some of my winter clothes and my sleeping bag a little too soon. Of course, my bag was lighter, but I was not any more comfortable. I was actually a little bit more miserable. So I think knowing what fits you and your comfort, and don't rush things just because you're trying to lose weight. If that fits you best, then do it. You're gonna hear backpackers out there that's like, I'm this weight, I'm lightweight, I ditch this and I ditch that. Don't feel like you have to do that. If it's comforting you and it feels good for you, then roll with it, do it. Who cares if it's an extra few pounds? You're the one that's carrying it. You're the one that's like making the decision. So there were times that I sent back gear that I wish I would have had, and I ended up having to send back to myself, and then I ended up having to go without it, and it was just like I said, misery that could have been avoided if I just didn't rush trying to shed a few pounds. I will say another thing I wish I would have done would have had is more of a pocket fund, or like a plan for when I finished the trail. I feel like when I went on trail, I just expected everything to just work out, and when you're out there hiking every day and you're being present and you're enjoying it, don't get me wrong, it's amazing. You kind of don't think about what you're going to do after the fact. But I did sell a lot of my stuff before I went on trail, like my vehicle and my clothes and all these little things. And then when you finish the trail, you need to think about if you want those things again. Like I did not have the money put back for a new vehicle when I got off trail. I did not have my gym clothes. My foot went up 3 sizes, so I didn't have any of my old shoes. So it was like starting over completely. And that's another reason I feel like why I continue to hike for as long as I did, because I was so nervous and scared to go back to the real world because I feel like I didn't have it together. So that's just kind of something to also think about. If you're going out there for 6 months, eventually the trail is going to come to an end. What are you going to do? Are you going to have the funds that's going to catch you? Are you going to have things lined up where it's like you have a place to go or things to do where you're not more stressed and more of a mental crash? Like, are you going to be okay? Setting yourself up for after, because it is the most life-changing event, but also post-trail blues is a thing, and I thought that wouldn't happen to me. But you would be surprised. The things that you see out there, you can't unsee. The things that you go through, no one's going to understand because they did not go through them with you. Like, it was your journey. It's like you come back and you're so excited and you've been through this huge life event, but then you also feel very lonely in the real world, and it can be very, like I said, post-trail blues. It can come and go, and it comes in waves, and you may think you're okay, then you're not. So not only having a plan and a financial plan, but also a mental health plan. Like, do you have the resources it's going to take if you fall backwards, or you need guidance, or you need a help in the real world, because you're so, like, who you are around matters tremendously, and you don't want to spend all this time working on yourself and spending this huge life change and then going back to something that's going to be like toxic or pulling that from you or everything that you've worked for, because no matter, you just can't go back and things be normal or exactly like they were. You may think they can, but you can't unsee. Like, it is the most life-changing event ever. So I think just having a good game plan afterwards, mentally, financially, and just having. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me and for being here. Obviously, when you were out there hiking for 6 months, I feel like there's so much learning and mistakes that could be made, and the transformational is incredible. I feel like I could go on and on forever, but when I just think about the top things that I would change or do different, that's what I shared with you today. So I thank you for still being here. Please share, like, comment. Let me know if you're getting ready for your 2025 thru hike. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see y'all next time.